Welcome back to the Flying Monk Talk Show. I'm your host, Alex Kozma, and in today's episode, we are back with Sifu Mark Houghton, who is based in Hong Kong. He's very well known as a stuntman and kung fu actor in Hong Kong, starring with the likes of Han Kanbo or Sammo Hung and Jackie Chan, and he is the disciple of the famous Grandmaster Lau Kar Leung. And as well as being a stuntman and actor, he is, of course, a master of the Hung Gar Gong Fu system. We are now in the second part of the interview with Mark Houghton.
It's a combination of things. It's not just his skill, right? But like you see him in his films, the way he portrays himself being a master in his films is the way he is in real life. In his films, he doesn't want to promote violence. It's not often in his films people die. The hero and the antagonist, the bad guy doesn't necessarily have to die in his films. So he always has the bad guy killing people, then he has the good guy get beat up, learn martial arts, but not only learn martial arts, but learn about martial virtue, learn about for respect, humility, forgiveness, and not abusing the power he has. And then at the end, when they fight, just as about to kill the guy, he stops and holds his hand out and tells him he's got to change his ways. So it was about martial virtue. It's about the traditional culture. It's about the way of life, And that was something else that was different. Most people were just about fighting, But fighting for sport and fighting on the street are two different things. Fighting for sport can be stopped any time. It has a safety factor. But fighting on the street, violence is completely different from martial art. Being a martial artist doesn't mean you're a fighter. And being a fighter doesn't mean you're a good martial artist. There is a difference between the two. Martial arts teaches discipline, respect, and you have to work hard to get the skill you get. But it's a different mindset. Someone who's violent, their mindset is different. They might not have the physical ability to punch and kick, but they will become violent and they will do things that are against the law without having second thoughts or regrets about it. Most martial artists, they haven't got this reality, and they think that because they can kick high or punch, then they can fight in any situation, and they end up getting killed and stabbed or whatever, because they just lack that reality. So he kind of had both. You could see the traditional side of his martial virtue, where he really, really took martial art as a way of life and really respected it, and he really wanted only good people to learn it. But then you saw his physical side, that he could actually use it and he could actually become the dark side, But because he had the martial virtue, he controlled from stepping over into the dark side and abusing the skill you had. And this is what I like about traditional Kung Fu, because without the martial virtue, you're just teaching people to become violent hooligans, There has to be a balance. It's my simplest answer to this question is learn about awareness, learn about body structure, body language. Right? Remove yourself from the situation. So if you learn about awareness, your own body structure, your own awareness, somebody else's awareness, situational awareness. So you look at people and you see how they sit. Are they aggressive? Are their muscles tensed? Or are they relaxed? Are they leaning back? Now, if they're leaning back, as a fighter, you always got to think, what if? What if this guy wants to attack me? If he's leaning back now, he has to sit forward. Is he going to push himself up with his legs? Or is he going to put his hands on the chair to push up? Is he going to put his hair on the table to push up? So I'm always thinking, from that position, how is he going to come up to attack me? He has to cover that. If there's a table there and he has to stand up, I can push the table. I can throw the table, I can throw the chair. Then I'm looking at situational awareness. What is around me that I could use as a weapon? Oh, there's a brick on the floor over there. There's a dustbin that's not nailed down, I can lift that up. Or somebody's left a broom in the street. You know. So I'm always looking at this, and I'm always I'm thinking of what if. And it's stupid because people turn around and say, okay, if someone gets a knife and they stab you and you do this and you do this and it's fine. But if they have a fist fight, even if they win, they're going to get punched once or twice. So you're telling me, in a fist fight, you're accepting the fact that you're going to get punched once or twice, but you're going to win. But when somebody holds a knife at you, that knife is not going to touch you. It's never going to happen. That knife will touch you. No matter how good you are, you're going to get cut. It depends on whether that person has the skill and knowledge to go with that knife. If that person has a skill and knowledge, you're dead. Because you won't even know you've been stabbed until you're bleeding. And they're going to hit the main artery or a main organ. And it's going to be over within less than 30 seconds. But if they don't have the skill and knowledge to go with that, they're just going to attack blindly. They're going to stab, slash the first part of your body that's closest to them. Now in that case, if they don't hit the main artery or they don't hit a main organ, if you can get to hospital before you bleed out, you're safe. For me, I was lucky. The people that attacked me didn't have the skills. So they just slashed and chopped and stabbed. They never hit the artery or a main organ. So I managed to get to hospital before I bled out. So I survived it. Now, talking about situational awareness and that. Now, if you see someone that you think his body language is stiff, is aggressive, you know, his look is not friendly, and he's walking towards you, you cross the road. If he crosses the road, you cross back. If he crosses back, now you know you're the target. Now what you got to do now is look for a crowd. If there's a crowd, get in that crowd and disappear. Because if there's a lot of people around, most probably he's not going to do anything. See? If you can't run, then you've got to start looking situational awareness. Is there anything you can pick up to use to defend yourself? Now, you don't know what he's got. You don't know he's got a knife, gun, whatever, you know. So if you feel yourself threatened, then if you think it's a life-threatening situation, then you should be willing to protect your life. So use something, a chair, a brick, a stone, keys, coins, anything you can use that you can find to throw at him, to hit him with it, to make an advantage, to give you enough time to get away. But don't stand and fight. Because the thing is, you're going to get 2 or 3 punches in, but he's going to get one dig in with that knife and it's going to be over. So you don't want a confrontation. You want to use something to allow you to hurt him, distract him, enough for you to get away. But as a fighter, I would say, you know, awareness and removing yourself from the situation is much better than tackling it head on. If you make a mistake, he's going to stab you. And you're going to get stabbed. I don't care, you're world champion or whatever, you're going to get stabbed. But then again, are you looking up for him to be stupid and not know what he's doing with the knife, and he hit a part of your body where it's not putting your life in danger, right? If he knows how to use it, then you're going to get killed. But at the same time, if you pick up a weapon and hit him with it, and he dies or he gets badly injured, now you're going to go to prison for manslaughter or grievous bodily harm, even though he was the one attacking you. Because the judge is going to hear, oh, you know martial arts. I've heard someone say before, Oh, you know martial arts. Somebody comes at you with a knife, you should be able to grab their hand, disarm them, and tap them on the wrist and say, don't do that again. And that was said by a judge, you know, because their insight to martial arts and the movies, they think everybody's a superhero and knows martial arts. They can fight off 20, 30 people, disarm them and tell them not to do it again. But a martial artist is only human. We're not Superman. We have bad times, we have injuries, you know, we have bad moods, we have sicknesses. So if anybody attacks us in these times, we can be taken out just like anybody else. And that's what people don't realize. People try to fantasize, thinking that because they know martial artists, they're kind of superhuman and they can deal with everybody. But the thing is, the weakest person, the least person in the room that you think could fight, could take you out if they had the mind to do it. You know? So violence and martial arts are two different things. You know? People should understand that. When I was young and first went to Malaysia, there was a monk that lived next to the hotel that I became very friendly with. So I became a Buddhist monk for 6 months when I was in my teenagers, and I followed him around. And I learned how to do the meditating and the prayers, the chanting. Because, you know, to me, from my experiences, martial arts had to have a spiritual side as well as a physical side. Because if you didn't have the spiritual side to balance the physical, the violence, then what your state of mind, is that going to push you to be a bad person? So having the spiritual side will balance that and keep you on the path of goodness, you know. So, you know, to me, always with the Shaolin movies, Kung Fu came from Shaolin Temple, which is a Buddhist monastery. So Buddhism and martial arts went hand in hand. So I started to learn about Buddhism. And then after that, then a friend took me to a Daoist temple. And we went into the temple, and in Malaysia, the Daoist temples, the Sifus, they go into trances, and the gods come into their bodies, you know. So some become Quan Gong, some become Monkey King and all this, and some become the gods of hell, you know. So when we went into one of the temples, one of the masters of the temple, was in a trance. And he was in the trance of Jintin Si. Jintin Si is the ghost catcher, you know. So we were standing at the back, and there's no way he could see me. He didn't turn. And he started talking, and I didn't know Chinese at that time. And my friend translated for me and said, he's talking to you. And I said, well, what's he saying? He said, he's been waiting for you. And I said, well, I didn't know I was coming till an hour ago, so how could he be waiting for me, you know? And he asked me to go up the front, and he said that he's been waiting for me because I'm supposed to follow the Monkey King. So he took a statue of the Monkey King, asked me to hold it, and asked me to kneel down. And then he walked behind. The next thing I know, I got hit in the back. And I thought he'd use a stick to hit me in the back, but he used a sword. And after he took the sword, he lifted it up against the table, this high off the table, and he dropped it. And it was so heavy that it cut into the table. And he let go of it, and he stayed in the table. So the sword was sharp. And I was looking for the blood, and there was no blood. So he said, this is Sun Da, or Mao San, you know, Daoist Kung Fu. So he said, the Monkey King was protecting me. The Monkey King's been waiting for me. So I started learning Daoism. And then I started going into trances, and I'd be the Monkey King. So I've got a tattoo of the Monkey King on me, and all foods of the Monkey King. I got in Thai as well. Yeah, I mean, I used to be really into Daoist martial arts, spiritualism. I used to go into trances. We used to go traveling around, doing exorcisms, catching ghosts and things like that, you know. And then when I left and come to the UK, then I brought an altar with me and carried on there. And I helped some people who had problems with unwelcome visitors a few times. And then I went to Hong Kong and I carried on there. And I started teaching it to Westerners. But I had one of the students go a little bit crazy. Okay. And so I stopped teaching it. Because they don't understand the language, they don't understand the writing, they don't understand the culture. So it's like playing with a Ouija board. If you find a Ouija board and start playing with it, you don't know what your doors you're opening. And because they lacked the knowledge of language, knowledge of written language, and a knowledge of understanding of this Chinese culture, that they didn't stay within the rules, they didn't obey what they were told. And you know, the guy wanted to know how he could absorb more energy through his meditation. So there's a procedure that we do where we go to a graveyard at night and we sit in the graveyard and we absorb the power from the graveyard. But the thing is, you have to seal yourself before you do it. So no bad entity can attach itself to you. So you're absorbing the goodness from there, not the evil. You know? And he went there and didn't seal himself. And the next thing, he was telling people he was Jesus Christ. He had his children kiss his fingers and his feet. He had people coming in asking them to kiss his hands and feet. And he just, was not the person he should be. So we did a ceremony to get rid of this entity. But after that, I just stopped teaching now. So my religion is for myself. If people want to, I don't mind teaching Buddhism or passing on these amulets, because these amulets are like the cross, like St. Christopher. They give you some protection without you having to do anything, But Taoist martial art, Taoist spiritualism is different. They write foods and they do this and do that. And there's another person I know that is teaching this and he's writing foods. He doesn't understand Chinese. He doesn't write Chinese. So he doesn't know whether his writing is correct or not. And if you write one of the characters wrong, then it becomes useless. Yeah. It's very interesting. You want to learn these Taoist arts or this, then you really have to understand Chinese. You really have to learn how to read and write. Then you can have an insight into these arts. Otherwise, if you're just doing Taoist martial arts, Bakwa, Tai Chi, something like this, Xingyi, then that's fine. And just doing meditation and praying like this is fine. But stay away from the trances, stay away from the Mao San and the black magic. Because they will just make you go crazy, because you just got no idea what. You might as well go sit and play with a little Ouija board. So again, martial arts, they're not a sport. They're a culture, they're a lifestyle that has many things combined into it. Now in the West, we just see the fighting side to it. So that appeals to us. And then from that we think, there's the meditating side, there's the spiritual side. But because we are not Buddhists, well, I am now, but when I first started, I was Christian. I was baptized. So you don't know about the religion, you don't know about this and that. So it's funny because people are still staying Christian, but want to play with Daoist arts. How can you be both?
Yeah.
Because they go against each other, so you can't. You are one or the other. So if you're going to become a Buddhist or a Taoist, then you're going to go into Thailand, spend time as a monk, or go to China, or go to Malaysia, Singapore, Taiwan, and stay in a Taoist temple, and learn properly. Then you have the insight, but you have to learn the language as well, otherwise there's no chance of you understanding this side of their culture. Again, I got injured badly from the martial from the movies, right? From the real life incidents I've had, I've been stabbed, I've been chopped, shot at, no, but luckily missed. But they've all been flesh wounds. I've been stabbed in the femoral artery. So if I stood at this wall, the blood would hit that wall. Right. But luckily I got to hospital before I ran out of blood. My friend put a handkerchief around his fingers and stuck it in the hole to stop the blood flow. One of my friends got into an argument with a group of people, but instead of telling us that he had a problem, he said he was going to take us for dinner. And while we went to the restaurant, he went to talk with the guys that gave him a problem, thinking because there's a group behind him, they would be intimidated, but they weren't. There was more of them anyway. So then they started attacking. And then we just saw someone hitting our friend and tried to help. And then I got stabbed in the femoral artery, in the lung, and in the arm. That's when I was around 21.
In Malaysia?
In Malaysia, yeah. You know. So that was that. But, you know, but I got hurt more from doing stunts in movies. Because I was falling from 3rd, 4th floors, going through windows, walls, being hit by moving cars. So I've had both my hips replaced, I've had my knee replaced. I broke my ankle, which I was told was sprained. So I let it heal itself, and it's deformed now. So I've been working on a broken ankle for the last 20 years, doing falls, jumps, fighting. And it wasn't until I got into my 50s that it started to hurt. And when I went to see one of my students, who's one of my diving students, he's the head surgeon of the hospital, Kiwi Hospital in Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Kowloon. He took an x-ray and told me that it's been broken and it healed back, deformed. And it's been a long time. Then I put 2 and 2 together, and it was 20 years ago. So I've been fighting and working on a broken ankle for 20 years, you know. But because of the injuries from the movies, that I stopped doing movies and I stopped doing martial art, because when I was at my best, I could do practically anything I ever dreamed of. And I was so having this high expectation of myself, what I could do, what I should show people. And plus, I was famous for being a Westerner doing Hong Ga, you know. And then suddenly, I couldn't do the splits, I couldn't jump, I couldn't do this, I couldn't kick high, you know. And it got so disappointing, and I got so depressed that I just quit everything, you know. But it was the diving that brought me back, because once I'm in the water, I didn't have these problems. I was weightless, you know. So, and I actually did diving for Choi Hak's movie. Everybody, it was Van Damme's Knockoff. I played a Russian guy at the beginning of the movie, just a small part. I did Samo Hong a favour, because Samo was the fight director on it. So he asked me to come in and play just a few days on it. So I did that. So I learned to dive for that movie. But then after, when I quit the industry, then I took up diving full time. Become an instructor, started teaching. I stayed in Malaysia, and Sipadan, which is Sabah, which is one of the meccas of the diving world, you know. Small island, dropped down to 6,000 meters. Was it 600? No, 600 meters it dropped down to 1,000 meters in depth. So that's what, 3,000 feet or something like that. And it had hammerheads, white tip, black tip, grey reefs, leopard sharks, everything, you know, whale sharks, everything. So, you know, I stayed there for 2 years teaching diving. And then I come back, I got into cave diving. I love cave diving, I love deep diving and wreck diving. The wrecks in Asia, the Japanese warships and everything, Philippines is amazing. But then a friend who was ex-Navy SEAL, he came to Hong Kong and he did body recoveries. So he started to teach me body recovery. So I really found that interesting, because, you know, I thought that I've always done things and I've always taken things, but I've never really given back. And, you know, having a loved one die is one thing, But having a loved one lost at sea or lost in the water and not being able to find them and having a closure was another thing. So if I could do something to help people have closure, then maybe that would do something for me, you know. So helping others would help myself. So I decided to go into that. And whenever I bring back a body, I never charge. It's free of charge. I just have people pay for my expenses like hotel or traveling. But I will not charge a penny for bringing back a body. Because I don't think it's right to make money off someone else's grief and sadness and loss. But what I do is I teach police departments, fire departments, marine departments how to do body recovery. Because before they used to just bring the body to the surface, and if the fish of marine life have eaten it, there's no eyes and ears, nose, mouth. So you bring that up on the surface and it's bloated, and people now take their phones and take videos and put on Facebook, YouTube. And to me, it's the last place you want to see your loved one looking like that. So now what we do is we teach people to back the bodies underwater. So when we bring them back up to the surface, they have their dignity. And their family can have their closure. So that brought me into that. And I brought back 5, 6 bodies, you know, in different states. Some just died a few hours. Some been underwater 2 or 3 days, but been trapped. So, you know, their face is half gone. The marine life start eating straight away. And some of the images stay with you. But you kind of, I wouldn't say you get used to it, but you're morbid about it, you make jokes about it. But you have to be careful, you can't make jokes in front of people that are connected to the family or ever. You look like you're insensitive. We're not insensitive, but the thing is, if we don't have this morbid sense of humour, then it's going to affect us mentally. And we're going to end up in a mental hospital or something like that, you know. So, you know, there's a side that we kind of joke about, so we kind of saves us from the reality of what we're doing. And when I bring back bodies, I don't really look at it as a body, I look at it as an object. It was a vase that somebody occupied, which is now no longer occupied. So I always concentrate on the center of the body. So I won't look like this and this and this. I can see everything, but I can see the center, and that's, to me, that's what I concentrate on. Even though I can see the face and that, I'm not directly looking like this. So I can back the body. I mean, we follow the police forensics, so what we do is we have to take photographs, we have to mark it, we take photographs, take video. Then we take that up to the surface, we have a chain of command where that's passed to the police. They will look at that, and they will give us permission then to retrieve the body. And then we'll go back and bag it, and then we'll bring that back up. Then we have a chain of command, we have to sign that off and everything. So if the body has rigor mortis, we have to take photos of that, and then we have to break the rigor mortis to put it in the bag. Otherwise, you're not going to zip the bag up with your hand sticking out, you know. So there's so many things that you have to follow, and you have to follow the exact same procedures the police do on land. So you have to go and train for it. It's not something you can pick up straight away.
Really.
I mean, it gives me a sense of that I'm giving back to people. Maybe I've been selfish in my early years. I've done things that I'm ashamed of. I've done things that I shouldn't have done. Everybody's had some skeleton in their closet. Nobody's perfect. Nobody can say they've never done anything wrong in their life, you know. So we all have things that we shouldn't have done, and that we feel guilty about, shameful about, you know. So to me, doing this is repenting for what I might have done in my younger years, you know.
That's really.
To Buddhism, we believe in reincarnation. And even in the West, right, people go into, they get someone to hypnotize them and they talk about past lives. So there's, even whether you're going Eastern or Western, people do believe in past lives in some sense or the other. Christianity, they don't believe in reincarnation. They believe in going to heaven and spending the rest of life with your family in heaven. Right? But Buddhism believe in reincarnation. So they believe that the people you meet in this life, you've had past relations in your last life. You know, if you've done good in your last life, you're reborn into this life into better surroundings, maybe a rich family, you have better standards of living. You know, if you've done something bad in your life, then you're reincarnated as an animal or something, or someone is a lower caste, is very poor and has to suffer the rest of life. So you have to repent for your past life. But they say there's people in your past life that you're going to come together to in this life. And you're going to meet someone you've never met before and go, wait a minute, I really like this guy, you know, but you don't know why. But it's because Buddhism believers, you've had a relationship in the past, you know. And so, now I believe that me and my Sifu Lau Kar Leung have had that relationship. Maybe I've always been his disciple in his past lives, you know. So, and it's funny because we went to China to film Drunken Master 2. We went to Changchun, which is northern China near the northern Korean border. And that's the part where they did my master fought with Jackie under the train, with the sword and the spear. And we went to one of the temples, and the temple is the summer palace for the emperor. And funny because when I started, before I started filming Drunken Master, I grew a little tail. And the tail was this long, and I had it plaited, you know. And I put 2 beads on it, and I started it down my back. And when I went to, and I had this when I was doing the film Drunken Master, and we went to this temple, and there's an old man sitting at the doorway. And we walked, and when we got there, I really was scared of the temple. You know, I didn't want to go in for some reason, but my friends dragged me in, and this old man saw me, he goes, "You've come back." And I said, "Well, this is the first time I've been here." He said, "You don't want to come in, do you?" And I said, "No." He said, "You know why?" And I said, "No." He said, "You used to be one of the princes, the emperor, the youngest prince. The emperor liked you more than the oldest prince who's supposed to take the position of the emperor, and was worried that when the emperor died, you'd become the emperor. So he had you murdered in this temple. That's why you don't want to come in." You know. So it's funny because when we were there was a lot of places I went to, and it's like deja vu. I knew that, I felt that I knew the places, but I'd never been there before. So this story, you know, some part of it I really believed, and I really wanted to believe it. And then other times I would think, it's bullshit, you know. No, so it's very, I mean, it's something you can't explain. But, you know, yeah, I believe that we all have connection. That's why we meet now in this life. So, yeah, there's some of my students that come to me, and the bonding is so strong that I think the same thing in our past lives that was there. Even our children, you know, sometimes there's something there that is different. So they most probably been your children, or maybe probably been your father or mother in your past life. But there's something there that's just different from the other child, you know. So it's very funny. But this type of thing is, you know, it comes down to belief. Whether you believe it or not. If you believe it, fine. If you don't, you take it as just a nice little story and smile and forget it, you know. So again, that's the thing. So yeah.
Brilliant.
Martial arts, movies, you know, it's a life journey. It's a way of expressing yourself, you know. Be true to yourself. It's okay being a martial artist if you can't fight. You know, a martial artist doesn't mean you have to fight. A martial artist is teaching people about movement, about culture, you know. It's teaching people about community, bringing people together as a community, You know, it's not necessarily about violence. So if you haven't got the experience in violence, if you haven't got the experience in fighting, it doesn't matter. Don't pretend to be something you are. Don't teach people something you haven't got experience in. It's going to end up getting them killed. You know, that's all I would rather say. I mean, like I say, everybody's got their different expectations and things what they do. You know, if you want to con yourself, that's fine. But don't con people who look at you as God or someone that they're in awe of or a hero, and you abuse their trust in you to put their life in danger by teaching them something that you have no right in teaching, like knife defense and things like that. You know, if you've never been stabbed, if you've never had someone put a knife in your face, don't teach it. Teach them to run. You know. Other than that, I wish everybody a happy life.
Thank